Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Ellis. I'm the publisher of Rural Lifestyle Dealer. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar on marketing strategies to grow your dealership with Sara Hay, VP of Operations and Business Development with Bob Clements International. Today's presentation is brought to you free, courtesy of our friends at Yanmar. Now, this morning, Sara is going to be talking about the importance of understanding the cost of bringing in a new customer to the dealership versus the cost of motivating existing customers to buy more, determining what your customer acquisition costs, customer lifetime value, and customer profitability are, as well as measuring the right numbers in regard to your marketing strategy, among other things. Now, before Sara gets started, we have just a couple of housekeeping items to cover. On your screen, there's a control panel with a Q&A icon, and you can submit questions here at any time during the presentation. Time permitting, we're going to answer as many of those as we can at the end. Now, if for any reason during the presentation, either your connection or our connection should seem to be interrupted, and it looks like we're failing at that point, just go back to the email you received telling you how to join the webinar, and you should be able to re-enter that way. With that, we should be ready to roll, so I will turn over the controls to Sara here.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Michael. So like Michael said, my name is Sara Hay, and I am with Bob Clements International. So we are a family business like so many of you are. And when I went to school, I thought never, ever in a million years am I going to join the family business. So I went ahead and got a degree in psychology. And as all of you probably would agree, if you are in family business, a degree in psychology uniquely situates you to work in your family business. And so here I am about 7 years later working in the family business and loving every single second of it. So over my time after college, I started working at a nonprofit. And one of the things I was put in charge of as an entry-level intern was helping with the marketing. Like, that does seem like a great thing to go ahead and put your entry-level intern into, is helping with the marketing. That's great. And so through that, I began to have a baseline understanding of what you could do right and what you could do wrong in marketing. We did a lot of direct mail pieces. We did a lot of things with our customer relationship management system, our CRM. And through that, when I came over to the family business, Bob Clements International, I was just thrust right back into this marketing role with very, very little experience. And so as we've worked with dealers and we've helped them over the last few years, it's been really interesting to see this grow. So today, what we're going to do is I'm just going to share with you some things that we have seen work really, really well in dealerships and some things we've seen fail terribly. So let's use other people's mistakes to actually save us money. Does that sound like a good plan here? We're also, like Michael said, going to talk about how much does it cost for us to get a new customer? How long does a customer stay with us over their lifetime? And so many more things. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll talk about marketing for the next little bit here. So one of the things that we have to understand is that everything that happens with your dealership in mind is marketing. When somebody comes into your dealership and has a great experience and they go out and tell their family and friends, that's marketing. When somebody drives past your dealership on the highway, takes a quick glance, and then continues on, marketing. When a family of 5 in a minivan pulls up to your dealership, everyone gets out and comes in to use the bathroom for an emergency bathroom stop, that's marketing. Every time anyone thinks of your dealership, what the experience they've had or they've heard, that is marketing. And everyone in your dealership is responsible for being on this marketing team and helping us generate sales and continuing to bring traffic in the door. And so today we are really going to dive into this. How do we make sure that our marketing plan and the money and energy and time that we are spending in marketing is actually producing us sales? So one of the most common questions that we get on our team is, how much should I spend on marketing? It's the number one question I would say that we hear at BCI about marketing. How much should I spend? Well, there are 2 numbers you've got to keep in mind, and you're going to have to put yourself in one of 2 categories. The first category is anyone who has opened a dealership in the last 5 years, or you've brought on a new major line in the last 5 years. Okay, so if you've opened up a dealership in the last 5 years, or brought on a new major line in the last 5, your number is 5%. I want 5% of the gross revenue that your dealership is producing every single year to go into marketing of your gross. That means all of the money for parts, service, sales, whole good, rental, whatever it is, 5% of that is going into your marketing budget every single year. Okay, so now if you have been in business for more than 5 years, you had your 5th birthday as a dealership, congratulations. Your number is 3%. I want 3% of all of your gross revenue to go into a fund for marketing your dealership every single year. And I know what some of you are thinking, holy smokes, Sarah, that is a lot of money. That is a whole lot of money. Do you know what 5% on $1 million is? Well, actually I do. You know what? That is $50,000. And here's the deal. As we look at this percent of either 5% or 3%, our goal is to get half of that co-opt from your manufacturers, okay? So if we are in the 5% range and we are a dealership that does $1 million of revenue every single year, you are going to be putting up $25,000 and your manufacturer is going to be putting up $25,000. And I know some of you are like, Sarah, I don't know about that. I don't know. You don't know my manufacturer. Well, we probably do. Number one, we probably do. And the thing is, if you can come to your manufacturer with a strategy and you can come and say, hey, here's what I'm doing to continue to grow our name and grow our brand. Let's see what we can do to come alongside. So many manufacturers left over, and they are just tickled to death if you come to them with a plan to grow their market share. They're thrilled. And so that's what we're going to try to do. If we've got 5% of our gross revenue, we want half of that co-opted by our manufacturers. The other thing that we've got to keep in mind as we're understanding our marketing money, the other important number that we need to know is that it takes 7 times for us to touch a customer in order for them to actually begin to purchase from us statistically. 7 times is the amount of times we've got to touch them. So we've got to know the number 5%. If you've been in business for 5 years or less, or you've brought on a new major manufacturer in the last 5 years. 3% if we've been in business for over 5 years. And 7 times is the number that we have to statistically touch a customer before they become a purchasing customer for us. So we're going to go through strategies for that in just a little bit, but those are the numbers we've got to keep in mind as we start walking through this. So when we look at marketing in this marketing budget, one of the most important things we have to do is understand when specifically to start spending our marketing money. And I like to think about this in terms of buckets. We've got these buckets. And every month is its own individual bucket. And what we have to think about is that these buckets are full of cash. Like, yes, buckets of cash, Sarah, that sounds awesome. It does sound awesome. But what these buckets do is it represents a few things for us. These buckets, every single month, can we all agree that there is a certain expense that you have to pay out every single month to keep the lights on in your building, to pay rent, and to pay your employees? I mean, I don't know of any employees that we work with that are like, yeah, you know what? I understand things are tight this month, so I'm just going to go ahead and not take a check from you. I don't know any of those, right? And so we've got to understand that there's a certain amount that we've got to hit every single month in order to keep things going. And then we have room. We've got some room to understand where is our customer need and what does our capacity look like for our dealership. So when we look at our capacity and our customer need every single month, we determine where our room for growth is, okay? And so that's what we've got to be looking at, is what is our room for growth? One of the processes that I encourage you to take some time and do as you're doing this is a process called forecasting. Now, forecasting is simply taking data from the last 3 to 5 years that you have, putting them in a spreadsheet and understanding where you have months that where your sales are going to be happening in service, parts, and whole goods. And with that, we are going to use that data where we have that room for growth, right, where our capacity is and our customer needs, and we have room for growth. And we want to start spending our marketing money 6 weeks before we needed to start generating sales for that. So did you catch that? We want to spend our marketing money 6 weeks before we needed to start generating sales. So that means If you have a lot of sales happening in the April, May timeframe, right? That's when season hits, and you want to spend money to continue to grow that. We are not going to spend our marketing money in April or May. No, we've got to go 6 weeks before, back to March, the beginning of March probably. And so when we take an objective look at our capacity and our customer need and understand our room for growth, then we can strategically spend our marketing money. The same is true if you have a month that is slower for your dealership. In many dealerships, December, January is such a slow time. And so if we wanted to bring more customers in the door and fill that bucket and have that room for growth and fill that up, we have to start marketing late October, early November, so that we have sales mid-December to early January, all right? So that's how that works. 6 weeks before we need the sales to happen is when we have to spend our marketing money. We just can't throw it out there when we're ready for it to happen and say, man, I hope this works. Hope is not a strategy when we're talking about cash. I like cash too much to just throw it out there and say, man, I hope this works. Like, no. Marketing, like anything else, can be measured, monitored, and adjusted based on the numbers that we get from that. And so let's continue down this path together. So one of the questions that you've got to ask is, what are your goals for your dealership? Because everybody's marketing strategy is going to be just a little bit different based on their goals for your dealership. So if you say, you know what, Sarah, I'm really happy with where we are as a dealership right now, and my entire goal is just to stay the same. I want to make sure that my business continues to maintain. I don't have a desire to grow, and I don't have a desire to start scaling down my business. So I just want to keep my dealership going the same. Great. Your strategy for marketing in your dealership is going to need to be that you're going to need to bring in 30% more new customers every single year, because statistically, every year you will lose about 30% of your customers. So if you want to literally just stay the same, your strategy is one just to bring in an additional 30% more. Now, if you want to start scaling down your business, I know some people are saying, you know what, I'm hoping to retire in the next few years, not really sure what I'm going to do with my business. That's a whole different webinar that we're not getting into today. But if you say, I want to start scaling down, I want to make this a little more manageable for me to handle, what you need to do is your strategy is going to be taking care of your existing customers with extreme levels of customer service and care, right? As we work through a budget later on in this program together, you'll see we have a place for customer retention. That's where you're going to be spending your money, okay? So these are each different strategies. Now, this third strategy is for one of growth. If you are in a place where you're saying, hey, Sarah, I'm ready to start growing my dealership by leaps and bounds, and I just need a plan of how we do that with my marketing money, all right, that's this third one. So every single person has a unique way and a place that they are with their marketing. Your plan is not going to be cookie cutter and like everyone else's plan. But there are certain things that we can do and we can understand about each one of these different stages of a dealership to help us go down the right path with that. So I think one of the best examples of a company that has marketed for growth is this little teeny tiny company called Starbucks, right? Starbucks has done an incredible job of marketing for growth. And what we found is that Starbucks has moved from 84 stores in 1990, and in a 25-year period, they have moved to over 22,000 stores. The fascinating thing about Starbucks is that each one of their little local coffee shops that they have generates about $1 million of gross revenue every single year. And so they are not very different from so many dealerships that we're working with, right? They've got $1 million gross, and that's where they're going. But the thing that Starbucks has done that is so unique is that they have gone beyond just marketing their product. They have really created a place where customers come in and they combine the feeling of coming home with the world's greatest addiction, which is coffee. All right, and through this combination of things, Starbucks has marketed for growth over and over and over again, and clearly it's working. And I don't know many people who say, you know what, the thing I love about Starbucks is their coffee. Like, I mean, I love coffee. I have 3 young children. Coffee flows nonstop in our office. I probably drink about 10 cups of coffee a day. I wish I was joking. There's a problem here. But the thing that Starbucks has done is they have made you feel like you have come home. When I think about Starbucks, the things that come to mind are moments like when I was 14 years old, my dad would drive me to Starbucks to meet with all of my friends. And I would order this like $7 frou-frou drink that had absolutely no coffee in it whatsoever. But man, was I cool, because I was 14 without a driver's license at Starbucks, right? I also remember moments where I was sharing with our friends and family great moments in our life, like telling them that we were expecting twins, right? I remember even in college, when I was in college, the nearest Starbucks was 45 minutes away. We were freshmen in college, my friends and I, and we decided we were homesick. We were so homesick. So what did we do? We got in the car and drove 45 minutes to Starbucks, because Starbucks was so much more than coffee. Their marketing strategy was so much more than coffee. It was about taking this feeling of coming home and combining it with the world's biggest addiction. And that is how Starbucks grew. And that is their whole entire marketing strategy. When you look at Starbucks, any advertising that they have, you will see that there is never a time, very rarely a time at least, where you will see one person sitting there drinking a cup of coffee. No. You will see multiple people having conversations and engaging, because Starbucks understood that the way they were growing and what set them apart was the fact that it was the feeling of coming home and the world's addiction. So you've got to understand for you, what is it that sets you apart? What is it that you can market uniquely about your dealership? Yes, you sell equipment. Yes, you're a dealership. Yes, you are helping your community. But above and beyond that, what is your Starbucks factor? What is the thing that you make people feel like they can come into your dealership and this is what makes you unique? That's one of the things we've got to figure out as we move through this journey together. Now, we can take a note from Starbucks and their journey of going from 84 stores to over 22,000 in just a 25-year period. And it's basically a mathematical equation to help plan their marketing strategy and grow their business. And the thing is, we have exactly the same data that we can use in our dealership. But Starbucks understood three things, and this is what dictates their marketing strategy still. They knew who their customers were. The very first thing is they knew the money they were spending was going to the right place. And we have the power to do that too. They didn't just throw money on the wall and say, man, I hope it sticks. No, they had a plan in place and they knew who they were trying to reach. They understood the cost of a new customer coming into their dealership, and they kept the value of their customers over their lifetime in mind. It wasn't just one of those things where they said, I know we're paying out all of this money for marketing to bring in a new customer. Man, let's scale that back because it just doesn't seem like it's getting the return on investment I need. No, we need to understand if it's getting a return on investment. Yes, but we can't make a decision about the cost of a new customer without actually looking at what a customer generates over its lifetime. And Starbucks has done this to a T. And we have access to the same information they do to grow our dealerships. So let's dive into this first one. I need you all to pull out a piece of paper for me real quick. All right, so find a little piece of paper, scrap paper right next to you on your desk or wherever you happen to be right now. Because this is what we're gonna do. We are gonna use the same tactics that Starbucks has used to figure out who their customers are, to figure out who our customers are, okay? So when you get this piece of paper out, here's what I need you to do. I need you to draw a T chart, just like on this clipboard, on your piece of paper. And now on the left side of this paper, as you get your paper out and write this down, I want you all to do this, okay? On the left side of the paper, I want you to write your gender, all right? So just male or female. We're not doing anything else other than male or female here, okay? We're gonna keep it simple, male or female. And then I want you to write your age range. Are you 25 or under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, or 55 and over, okay? So 25 or under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, or 55 and older. So I want you to write that down real quick. And then I want you to think about what is your favorite radio station. What is the radio station that when you get in your car in the morning, you turn on your way to work? That's it. I want you to write down those three things. So we need a gender, female or male, only those two options. We're gonna do your age range, 25 and under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, and 55 and over, and then your favorite radio station. So that's gonna be on the left side. Now for a second, I want you to, on the right side of this graph, to think about your typical customer. Who is the typical customer who purchases from you at your dealership? Now, I want you to write down their gender. Is it male or female? Write that down real quick. What's their age range? Are they 25 and under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, or 55 and older? Just take your best guess. So 25 and under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, or 55 and older. And then out of your best guess in the whole entire world, what do you think their favorite radio station is? Just guess. What's your gut say? Write that down. Now, I want you to look at both sides by each other. And what we find is that 70% of the dealerships that we work with assume that they are, in fact, their typical customer. Everything that you are doing and marketing to, you are marketing to yourself. You are not marketing to your typical customer. You think you are your typical customer. And so here's what I want you to do. If you do nothing else from the time we're spending together this morning, I want you to do this. I want you to get a legal pad, all right? Get a legal pad, and I want you to write on the legal pad gender, male or female, all right? Age range. Do those same ones I did, 25 and under, 26 to 40, 40 to 55, or 55 and older, and favorite radio station. It doesn't have to be favorite radio station, but whatever it is that you want to know about your customers that will help you make decisions with your marketing. And when a customer walks in the door of your dealership, here's what I want you to do. I want the person at the parts counter to make a little tally next to each of those things. And some people go, oh, Sarah, but how do I know what their favorite radio station is? Well, you ask them. Most people are excited to talk about their interests with you, right? When you say, hey, and don't be shady about it. Say, hey, we're doing a better job trying to reach you where you're at and make sure that you hear about all of our new exciting things that are happening all the time. What's your favorite radio station? People will tell you. They'll be excited to tell you. You know, and this is the cheapest market research that you will ever do for your dealership. This is. And so it is, if you do nothing else as a result of this, put a legal pad by your parts counter and start making little tallies. That's all I need you to do. You know, the whole thought process came about not long ago. We were talking with a dealer, and he said that he was an older man. He was probably in that 55 plus category. He was running this dealership right outside of the St. Louis area. And he loved the country western station. That was his favorite station to listen to. And so what he did was he spent all of this marketing money advertising on this country western station. So he did this exact thing that I'm telling you to do right now. And he took out this legal pad and started making tallies. And when he asked the question, what's your favorite radio station? What he came to realize is that while he was marketing to himself, I mean, like, you've already bought in, you own the dealership, you manage the dealership, you're already sold on this. You don't need to market to yourself. But he found that most of the customers who were coming in and making purchasing decisions from him were landscapers, and that he could be on the Latino radio station for pennies on the dollar of what he was spending on the country western station. And so this radio station had this program that they called it Holler for a Dollar. Like, you can't make this stuff up. It was called Holler for a Dollar. And what he found is that for a 30-second ad on this radio station, it cost him $1. And so he decided to take the money he was spending, a portion of the money he was spending on that country western radio station, and put it on this Holler for a Dollar program. And his sales were exponential because he finally found who his customers were and where they were so that he could make a decision with his marketing money based on that. So we have to take a cue from Starbucks and figure out who the customers are, right? When you look at Starbucks advertising, you don't see a lot of people in that 55 and over age range, do you? Because that's not who they're trying to reach as customers. I feel like if you walk into a McDonald's at 5 a.m. anywhere in the United States, you see that they have a pretty good handle on that, 60, 70, 80 age range. It's not where Starbucks is not where you're going to see them meeting. So Starbucks understood who their customers were so that they could focus their marketing dollars to make sure that they were reaching them in the right way. The next thing that Starbucks understood was the cost of a new customer. And we have to figure out that exact same thing. So how do we figure out the cost of a new customer? This is called the customer acquisition cost in marketing terms. But listen, I'm from Missouri. We like to keep things simple. So we're just going to call it a cost of a new customer, or how much does it cost for you to purchase a new customer for your dealership? Because are we all aware, marketing money is just us spending money to bring someone into our dealership. So we're really buying a new customer, and what does that cost? So you only have to have 2 pieces of information to figure out what a new customer costs you. You need to understand how much you have spent on marketing in the last year and the amount of new customers that you've had come through your door and purchase from you in the last year. All right, so one of the things that I have I've heard as we've walked through this with our dealer success group members and all of these different areas that we've been talking about marketing with, is they go, hey, Sarah, I have no idea how much I've spent on marketing, and how in the world do I know how many new customers have come? All right, so if you have business management system, I hope that you're putting your customers in there. So you should hopefully be able to pull up a list of your new customers in the last year. All right, if you don't have that available, here's what I'm gonna say let's do. We've got to start with some data. It may not be the best data we can possibly get, but we've got to start somewhere. So I want you on another legal pad, again, high market stuff here, okay? We are gonna start putting down every time for the next week that we spend a marketing dollar, and every new customer that comes into our dealership. I just want a little number on there and a little tally mark. And at the end of the week, we are simply going to divide our marketing costs by our new customer costs, or our new customers, and that's going to give us the cost of a new customer. I understand that's not going to be a really great piece of information, but as we continue down and we continue building this data, we'll have a good picture of what is it costing you to bring a new customer into your dealership. So what does this look like really? So let's say we have this dealership that does $1 million in sales every single year, and that we have spent $50,000 on marketing in that time period, because it's only been open for about 4 years now. Okay, we've got $1 million of gross, been open for 4 years, so we've got the 5%, which would give us $50,000. And in that time period, we've had 1,000 new customers. All right, so if we simply take $50,000 divided by 1,000, it tells us that the cost of this new customer for this hypothetical dealership is $50. All right. Every single customer who comes in and buys from you, you have effectively paid $50 to come in. Okay. So that's how we're going to figure out this first piece of information. What is the cost of our new customer? Starbucks has done this. Like I said, we're taking this right out of the Starbucks playbook and putting it into play for us. Starbucks has done this, and they have found that the average customer, it costs them on average $1,400 to bring in a new customer every single time. $1,400 for a customer to come in and buy their first $5 drink from them. $1,400. That's crazy. But the piece that Starbucks has, and that we have too, is they understand what kind of value that customer is to them over their life of being a Starbucks customer. And we have that same information. So the next piece is we're going to understand, it's called our customer lifetime value. And the question we're simply answering is, how much does a customer spend with you over their entire lifetime as a customer? There are 3 different pieces of information that we need in order to determine this customer lifetime value. Here they are. Okay, so we need to know our total revenue, the number of unique customers. Okay, so not just the number of new customers, but the number of unique ones. And then your customer's average lifespan. So in order for us to figure out what the value of a customer is over their entire life as our customer, those are the 3 things: our total revenue, gross, on all of the pieces of our dealership combined. How many unique customers have you had? All right, so if whatever that looks like, it could be households if that's how you want to do it, but whatever that looks like for your deals, number of unique customers, and then your customer's average lifespan. And I'm going to help you with that one. So those are the 3 pieces of information. Now this is getting a little math heavy, and I just want to say I am not a math whiz. So as we're going through this, please keep in mind, after this webinar, I will send you a spreadsheet where you can just plug these numbers in and you can get all of these things just popped out. But I want you to understand how we get to these numbers. So if we're trying to understand the first piece of this, which is our customer value, how valuable is a customer to your dealership as they purchase from you? We're going to take 2 pieces of information. All right, so we're going to take our revenue, how much money we've generated over a 12-month period of time, and divide it by all of the unique customers who have bought from us. All right, so this is the first thing we're going to do, and that's going to generate our customer value. So for the sake of this, again, we've got our $1 million gross revenue dealership. And at this dealership, because I'm terrible at math, we're saying that we've had 5,000 customers, unique customers come and purchase from us over that year. That means if we divide $1 million by 5,000 customers, the average order value of a customer, not average order value, the average value of a customer is $200. Okay, so every customer who buys from us is worth $200 on average. So that's the first piece of this puzzle, the customer value. The next piece of this puzzle is understanding what does that translate in order to understand our customer lifetime value. So if we take our customer value of $200, which we just figured out, and then we take our customer's average lifespan and multiply them together, we can understand how much a customer is worth to us over their life. All right, so how do you figure out your customer's average lifespan? Well, in most industries, retail industries, we find that the customer average lifespan is just 3 years. But the thing that we have found is that a dealership is not like any other retail location. You're probably all laughing and say, yes, Sarah, like you're preaching to the choir. We are not like another retail location. And on average, customers will buy from you for about 10 years, okay? And so I feel like if you were to multiply your customer value by 10 years, you will get an accurate number of what your customer lifetime value is. If you want to dive into that a little bit deeper for your specific area, I would encourage you to go look at the housing records and about how when people move out of the areas you're in. You know, I was just joking at the NATDA show I was just at recently with this, and I said, you know, my husband and I just bought a new house about 2 months ago, and in this old house that we were living in, it was a very starter home community, very transitional, and average people lived there 3 years, okay? So if you were a dealership in that zip code, you may have had a much lower customer average lifespan of 3 years in that zip code. But now, this area we're in now, neighbors on both sides of us have lived there for over 40 years. Okay, so if you were in that zip code and in that area, your average lifespan may be higher. But we find that for most dealerships across this country, 10 years is a good number. So if we take our $200, which was our customer value, and multiply it by our 10 years, we find that our customer lifetime value, the number we need to know, is $2,000. So we spent $50 to buy this customer, and they generated us $2,000 over the course of 10 years with us. That sounds like a pretty good investment to me, right? Good ROI. As we've been talking about Starbucks through this and how we're taking this play from their playbook, they have spent $1,400, and they have realized that an average Starbucks customer stays with them for 20 years, okay? 20 years. And on average, a Starbucks customer over their lifetime will spend over $20,000 at Starbucks. Holy smokes, that's a new car spent on coffee. That's insane. But Starbucks is okay with spending the $1,400 to bring a new customer in the door, with the understanding that they are going to generate them $20,000 over their lifetime. And so all of this is just a simple math equation that you can do. And like I said, I will send out this spreadsheet so that you can do it, excuse me, so that you can do it with your own numbers in your dealership without having to do the math. And I believe it even breaks it down by department. So it's something that you can dive into that as deeply as you'd like to or as lightly as you'd like to. But that's how we figure out how much does it cost for us to bring a new customer in, and how much are we getting from the customer over their entire lifetime. Because when you look at these three things, who your customer is, how much it costs to buy them, and how much money they bring into your dealership, it just becomes a mathematical equation to determine your growth, right? We can say, I would like to grow my dealership over the next 10 years by X amount of money. And I know that it costs me this amount of money to buy a new customer. So what does it look like? How many new customers do I have to bring in if I want to grow my dealership to here? It's simply a mathematical equation. And that's all it becomes. We're able to start measuring the numbers, monitoring the numbers, and adjusting our plan to fit into where we're trying to go. So thanks, Starbucks, for that. So the next thing that we need to dive into, if we know how much money we're going to spend, how much it costs for us to buy a new customer, and what they're going to generate for us over their lifetime, we've got to start asking this question: what does a marketing budget look like for a dealership? And I feel like there's probably two groups of people who are listening to this. My first group, I say the word budget and you go, no, not a budget. And then there's this other group that's like, yes, a budget. I'm so excited. But a budget simply gives us permission and a strategy to spend our marketing money. That's all it does. It's just giving us permission and a strategy to spend the money that we have worked so hard to make. And I'm just saying, as we've talked about co-oping, this is what I want you to take to your manufacturers and say, hey, here's what this looks like. Here's what my strategy is to grow our market share, to grow our brand, and to create more of a need in our community for this. That is what the power of a marketing budget is. You know, we were working with a dealer not long ago, and he was approached by Yellow Pages. And what we found is that sometimes the people who are coming at you trying to sell your service, these services for marketing, are the best salespeople that you will find. I'm saying, like, some of you need, if you're looking for salespeople, go grab one of these people, because some of them are the slimiest, greasy. Oh no, we don't want slimy, greasy salespeople, but some of them can get you to buy things and you're like, what? How did I spend that much money? As an owner or a manager, you have this very unique ability. It's very unique. And I want you to practice this with me. We have the ability, when someone comes in and says, hey, I think you need to spend $20,000 on radio ads with me, you have the ability to say no. All right? I know maybe some of you didn't know you had that ability, but you have the ability to say no. No is a full sentence. When somebody walks in and says, hey, I'd love for you to take an ad in the Yellow Pages, I'm going to print it in the book, and people are going to go ahead and just throw that in the trash right away, you have the ability and permission to say no. So say it with me real quick. No. Doesn't that feel good? It feels good to say no, but your budget gives you the parameters to say yes or no to any marketing decision you make. And so let's walk through what a marketing budget, a healthy, well-rounded marketing budget looks like in most dealerships. Again, everybody's area is unique. We can't do a one-size-fit-all, but as we've worked with about 4,000 dealers across the country, we have seen in most cases, this is a healthy budget for most dealerships. So when we think about our budget, I think the first thing that we've got to understand, whether you are a 5% dealer, a new dealer, or an established dealer with 3%, I want you to spend 20% of your marketing budget on your store, okay? So this may mean repaving your parking lot. This may mean putting a fresh coat of paint on the outside or inside. This may mean new parts displays inside your dealership. But I want 20% of your marketing money spent on your physical location, because the statistics say that if a customer comes in and has an incredible experience with you, but your store does not look pleasing from the road, they've had the most incredible experience with you. 1 out of 3 of them will not recommend you to their friends. 1 out of 3 will not give you that word of mouth advertising that is so needed and has the most credibility in all of marketing. 1 out of 3. So we need to spend 20% of that marketing budget on your store. Maybe that means a new sign, right? So many manufacturers, as they push out new signs, they're happy to co-op that. So looking at ways that we can partner with our manufacturers to co-op things like this, but still keeping your brand and who you are unique to you. So, I mean, that could mean maybe we're putting some money away every year to say, in the next 3 years, we're going to need a new parking lot, because a parking lot's not cheap. So if we are saying, I know that I'm going to go ahead and put some money away from my store marketing budget to pay for a new parking lot, maybe it's new lights, maybe it's the landscaping, whatever it is, it's all marketing in my mind. And I encourage you to spend 20% on that. All right, the next thing I'm going to say is for customer retention. The statistics are it costs 5 times more to get a new customer in the door than it does to keep an existing customer. 5 times. So if you were to spend $500 to bring a new customer in, you could have kept your existing customer for $100, all right? 5 times, that's a lot of money. $400 discrepancy is a lot of money. And so I encourage you to spend marketing money on customer retention and have a strategy in place for it. So if you are a new dealer, have been in business for 5 years or less, I want 10% of your marketing budget to go towards your customer retention. If you are an established dealer, 5 years or older, I want, of your 3% that you have for your marketing overall, I want 15% to go towards your customer retention. All right, and so as we were talking earlier about the different levels of people where you are with your dealership, if you're just wanting to stay at the same place or scale down your business, you're wanting to scale down your business, customer retention is where you want to spend more probably than the 10 or 15%. Like I said, everybody is unique. There's no cookie cutter. But if you are on a trajectory of growth, I would say 10% for a new dealer, 15% for an established. The reason that it's different is that if you are a new dealer, you are going to have less established customers anyway, so you're not going to need as much money for that. Whereas if you're an established dealer, you're going to probably have a bigger group of established customers that you are wanting to retain. So that's why there's that differentiation in numbers there. But I want to share something that we do every year as we are doing with our customer retention budget. So we work, as we're doing customer retention, one thing that we have found is that we like to do is called off-holiday marketing. So when we don't send out a Christmas card, you will never get a BCI Christmas card, because we understand that if you get a BCI Christmas card, it's going to go in the trash, probably with your Christmas card, right? Because everybody is doing it. So our goal when we're trying to retain our customers is to be there when no one else is there. That's what our goal is. We want to be in front of our customer when no one else is in front of our customer. And we find that's the case with off holiday. So about 4 times a year to our dealer success group members, we send out a gift to them. This last year for St. Patrick's Day, we sent out a little galvanized steel bucket full of Jolly Ranchers and 2 green lottery tickets on it. And we said, wishing you the luck of the Irish. And we sent that out to probably about 300 to 400 of our customers. Did it cost us some money? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. Because the amount of people that we had emailing us, texting us, sending us pictures with a big L on their forehead because they lost on the lottery tickets was so high that if we would have done anything else with those customers, we would have never gotten that response. And it makes them understand that we are there even when other people aren't. And so I encourage you, think outside of the box. We did one for National Ice Cream Day. Find some of your customers that are your best customers and send them, when National Ice Cream Day rolls around, I think it's in July, send them a card with a $5 McDonald's gift card in it and say, hey, enjoy some ice cream on us, right? Be there for your customers when nobody else is, because that's how you're going to be top of mind with your customers. All right, so that's our customer retention piece. The next piece is online. All right, and again, this is something that somebody else could do a whole nother webinar on, but let's just talk about the big points of this. Online, I want 25% of your marketing budget, if you are a new dealer, to go online. So that means making sure your website is built properly and that it can do the things you need it to do. That means making sure your social media is up, that you're putting videos, how-to videos on YouTube and getting some clicks on those. I want 25% of your marketing budget if you are a new dealer going online. Excuse me. And if you are an established dealer, I want 20% of your marketing budget to go to your online platforms, okay? Because this is what's happening. I mean, I think we can all agree the internet's not going anywhere anytime soon. Like, we've got to get behind this. I was at a meeting just recently, and I said, how many of you have websites, right? I would guarantee you 25% of the people did not raise their hand. The internet is not going away. The internet is the first place most customers are engaging with you as a dealer and starting their journey. People still want to come in and have face-to-face conversations to make the final decision, but their journey starts online. So if you don't have a website, you need to make sure that that is getting put in place first and foremost. That's #1 priority. Right, and then we've got Facebook, social media, Instagram, all of these different things. You know, and we don't have time to jump into that super in-depth, but I would say if you are wanting to learn more about social media, I read this book probably about 1.5 years ago that changed the way that we do social media at our company, and it's called Jab, 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 right hook, okay? Jab, 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 right hook. And it walks you through every single different social media platform. And it tells you how you can make sure that you are optimizing the money you are spending in social media. So if that is an area you are not comfortable with, check that out. I think it will be very helpful to you. But if we're talking about a specific thing you can do in regards to social media that will generate you the most sales, this is it. We recently had a dealer who came up to me probably a year or two ago at the GIE Plus Expo, and he said, hey, Sarah, you know, one thing that we have started doing is that every time somebody purchases a piece of equipment from us, we take a picture of them in front of the new equipment, smiling with our dealership logo in the background. It's just a really special moment. But, and I'm sure many of you have done that, but we take it one step further. We put it on our Facebook page, and we ask them, if they say, if you can get 100 likes on this picture, I will send you a $100 Visa prepaid gift card, okay? So if you can get 100 likes of you standing in front of this new piece of equipment with our logo shining in the background, got a happy smiling customer with a brand new piece of equipment, 200 likes on that, I will give you a $100 Visa prepaid gift card. And their word of mouth advertising from that skyrocketed, right? People were coming to their Facebook page. Their customers were pushing their Facebook pages out to their friends because they wanted to earn a $100 Visa gift card. If you had 100 new leads coming into your business, would you be okay spending $100 of your online marketing budget on a gift card for someone? Yes, yes, it makes no sense not to do that. So that's what I want you to do. If you don't do that yet, take a picture of a customer in front of their new piece of equipment and put it on your Facebook, and then tell them you will give them a $100 gift card if they get 100 likes on that, okay? And so I mentioned YouTube as well. I just want to say one of the ways that we have seen a lot of growth for some of our dealers is basic how-to videos on YouTube, okay? It costs about $3 to get about 800 views. All right, we do a lot of how-to videos as we're doing, or not how-to, videos on YouTube as we're doing boot camps and all of these different things that we're doing, and we find it takes $3 for 800 views. That's pretty incredible. If you need more information, I'd be happy to share what I know about that, but that's one thing I encourage a lot of dealers to do, because you can get millions of views by simply spending a little bit of money and putting how-to videos for your equipment out there. Okay, so those are some of the things that I encourage you to think about online. I mean, this is, again, a whole nother webinar, a whole nother category, but those are some of the things that I have seen to be successful over the last year or so with some of the dealers we're working with. So let's talk about advertising. If you are a new dealer, I want 25% of your marketing money to go towards advertising. Okay, so this is talking about direct mail, radio, TV, newspaper, whatever it is that you are doing as advertising. I want 25% of your marketing money to go there, okay? That's for a new dealer. If you're an established dealer, I want 15% to go towards advertising. So let's talk about two different pieces of this real quick. First is direct mail. We are huge fans of direct mail done right. So how do you do direct mail right? Let me give you a little clue on how you can make direct mail actually work for your dealership. You do not print 10,000 postcards and send it out to 10,000 of your closest friends. That is not how you do direct mail. It is not. That is a waste of your money and time. How you do direct mail is this. I want you to order a batch of postcards. Let's say we're going to do a winter service special. All right, we want to do a winter service special. So we are going to order a bunch of postcards, and I am going to send out 50 to 100 a week, okay? I am going to find the areas where my customers are, pull that zip code, and I'm only going to send 50 to 100 a week of our existing customers. And then I'm going to pick up the phone. I don't know if you guys have gone ahead and purchased the premium phone plan for your dealership, where not only do calls come in, but they go out. But most dealerships I work with have bought the premium plan. And so I want you to utilize that premium plan, pick up the phone and say, hey, I know we just sent out a thing about the winter service special to you. I wanted to see if you got that and if you had any questions. That's it. This is not a huge sales call. No, this is just someone at the parts counter, when the parts counter is slow, picking up the phone and saying, hey, I wanted to make sure you got this. Do you have any questions? That's it. We have seen more movement through a shop in the wintertime because of this one piece of marketing than we've seen all year long with other things. All right. This, if done right, can generate you so much work through your shop, and I encourage you to do it. The other thing is, as you're asking this question about radio stations to your customers, as we're finding out who our customers are, number one, we're going to do radio advertising. Make sure it's on the right station. But I want you also to think about Pandora. There's the interesting thing about Pandora is right now in the United States, it is the #1 most listened to radio station in the entire United States is Pandora. And the great thing about Pandora is when you go ahead and sign up for Pandora for the first time, you give them all of this information. They know how old you are. They know how your gender. They know all of these different things. I mean, you can even narrow it down by socioeconomic status because of the information and the cookies they get from everywhere else on the internet. So I want you to go and think about maybe advertising on Pandora, because you are able, just like social media, to narrow down who your ad is going to go to with Pandora, unlike anywhere else. With all these other radio stations, and I mean, again, your area is unique, so keep that in mind, but with all the other ones, you are not able to get analytics and data about who's listened to it and how long they've listened to it, and all of these different things. But Pandora gives you that as well. So think about looking into Pandora. It's relatively inexpensive to advertise with them, and you can target your specific customer so that you make sure your marketing dollars are going directly to the people that you want it to go to. So those are just two pieces of it. The other question we get asked pretty regularly is about billboards, okay? When should you have a billboard? We only say there are 2 reasons you should have a billboard. One is if it's a directional sign to your dealership, okay? We see a lot of people who do billboards that are just out there and they're not a directional sign to your dealership. A billboard is a good investment if it's a directional sign to your dealership. And number 2, if you have a new major line that you've brought on that you need people to know about. We see billboards and effective marketing for those 2 pieces, and that would go under this advertising budget, okay? So if you've got directional signs to your dealership or a new major manufacturer, think about a billboard, but think about it hard before you jump into that. So that's this advertising piece. The last piece of this budget is our events, okay? So events, I consider fairs, your state fairs, your events, open houses, your events. And if you are a new dealer, I want 20% of your marketing money to go towards events, okay? 20% if you are a new dealer. And if you're an established dealer, I want 30%. One of my favorite events to see play out with dealerships are charity events. And I don't know how many of you are doing this, but this is how a charity event works. You are gonna call the local PTA at your kid's school, maybe it's the band, maybe whatever organization at a local school or church or something like that, and say, hey, here's what we wanna do. We wanna open up our dealership for your group. We will provide hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, all of the things, and your kids are gonna come work this event for us. They're gonna come and serve all the hot dogs and hamburgers, and any money that they make from this is going directly back to you. So we're gonna give you the space, we're gonna give you the food, and all we need is for your team, your group to put it on Facebook, put it out there, tell their grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody about what this thing we're getting ready to have. And we are gonna go ahead and give that money back to you as they work this. Everything that comes in, we're going back to you. Maybe that means that you're helping them build a new play set at the local elementary school, but they tell everybody. You've got grandparents coming in, aunts and uncles coming in, family, friends, neighbors, everybody is coming in to help support your local group. And we have found that while sales don't happen typically, I mean, we've had a few experiences where people say, oh my gosh, we've had all these sales from this, but as people do this, we are able, when they go, okay, I need a piece of equipment now, who do they think of? They think of you and what you did for their kid or their grandkid or their niece or their nephew or their neighbor. And that's what we're wanting to do. We want to make sure that when people are ready to buy from us, that we are top of mind and that we are ready to engage with them. So as we wrap up here, and before we pause, this action is deeply personal. There is no one piece cookie cutter marketing plan for every single person. Sure, we can give you guidelines, but your area is unique. Your dealership is unique. Your goals are unique. And so you have to take all of these different pieces and say, let's get this figured out. Let's make a plan so that we have space to say yes to the things we want to say yes to and no to the things that won't. And let's just stop throwing our money out and saying, oh, I hope it sticks. I hope this makes customers, because we can really, just like Starbucks, take what we have and make a plan for growth based on our numbers. And then we can just simply measure, monitor, and adjust them. Okay, so questions. Michael, do we have any questions that I can answer?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a couple come in this morning. The first one is from a smaller ag dealership with a limited marketing budget. Okay. They're trying to figure out their most effective marketing strategies and specifically how to measure results from things like trade shows and social medias versus print media. Do you have any recommendations for them?
Sure. I would say keep it simple. Okay, number one, keep it simple. As you're looking at things like trade shows and social media is a great one because it gives you metrics. And, you know, I think that's one of the things is whenever it can give you metrics, that's great. But we have to understand that we are just constantly trying to up our touch on people. So you may not see a huge influx from your social media page right away and see that as results. So we have to look at it as an overall strategy, Michael, where we're looking at how much are we spending versus how many new customers are coming in. And as you're doing that and tweaking things, you'll be able to see the difference in that. But it's keep it simple from the beginning. Understand how much are you spending at trade shows? Is that just another piece of this touch puzzle? Or is it something that you're expecting to generate sales? If it's something you're expecting to generate sales on the spot, that should be a pretty easy metric to measure. But if it's just one that you're saying, okay, this is a touch to be in front of my customers with, just understand that it's part of the bigger strategy. But I mean, social media makes it easy with their metrics. And then as you were saying with radio and TV and things, that's a little harder to measure. But we can still say, we know we've spent this amount of money and this is the amount of new customers we've had. And that gives us that number. So I hope that helps down the right line with that.
Perfect. This one's a great question. We always talk about the importance of the service department. Someone's looking for some advice on how to grow and market their service.
Okay. I love that question. This is one we love, love, love. So I think there's a few things that you can do with your service department and growing your service department. The first thing I think is the best way to market your service department is make sure you are pushing out quality work. All right. We always say we want people to leave our service department and say, man, they were a little bit high. Their rate was a little bit high, but man, they do great work. If you can have someone walk out of your service department and say, man, they were a little bit high, but they do great work, you will have a full service department. But as I was mentioning, I talked about that winter service special. That's one of the ways that we encourage all of our dealers to keep that busy through the slow season is doing a winter service special. So you're just going to look up all of the customers who have purchased from you in the last 5 years. You're going to send out a postcard, 100 at a time max, and pick up the phone and say, hey, I just wanted to make sure you got that and see if you had any questions. The other way that I would encourage you to look at this is if you have a piece of equipment, look up the pieces of equipment that are getting ready to go out of warranty and reach out to those customers. That's a great way to do that as well. So I would say make sure you're doing a winter service special and keep on top of the equipment that's going out of warranty.
Great. We've had a couple more come in. We've got time for one more before we break here, but I just want to remind everyone that any unanswered questions we'll send back with Sara, and those will be posted to the website once we get the archived replay up there. Last one, and you touched on it a little bit. Talk a little bit about the importance of marketing the dealership versus marketing the brands that you carry.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the thing that we understand in regards to marketing our dealership and what makes us unique versus the brands that we carry is the fact that when customers pull into your dealership lot, they are already comfortable with the brand that you have on your sign outside. If they weren't comfortable with the brand, they would have never pulled into your dealership. But what we have to make them comfortable with is us. That's what they're not sure about when they're getting ready to buy from you. So when they walk into your dealership, I don't want to see all of your manufacturer things around the walls. No, I want to see the things that show what are the organizations in your community that you support. Show us pictures of your family and the different families that are in your dealership, right? Maybe it's Joe the technician and his family and say, man, this is what Joe is passionate about. But it's about creating a brand around your dealership and not just the manufacturers that you, the equipment that you're selling. It's about the bigger picture because, like I said, people are already comfortable with the manufacturer when they pull into your lot. It's you they're wondering about. So you've got to do everything you can to make sure that who you are is communicating in everything you do. If you guys have a light sense of humor, make sure your marketing conveys a light sense of humor in that. Like our group, we are so sarcastic here at Bob Clements International, so sarcastic. And so when you get marketing pieces from us, you are going to see some sarcasm in them. If you can't handle the sarcasm, you're probably not right to work with us to a little bit of a level, because that's who we are and that's who our brand is. And so whatever it is about your personality and your group, make sure that that is conveyed in everything you do.
Wonderful. Well, that's great stuff, Sarah. That's about all the time we have for this morning. Again, the presentation and the audio are going to be made available on rurallifestyledealer.com. If you'd like to go back and review it and to check out the follow-up questions that Sarah wasn't able to answer live. Keep an eye on your email and our eBrief newsletter for additional information about when that will be available. On behalf of Sarah and the team at Bob Clements International, as well as our sponsors at Yanmar and the entire team here at Rural Lifestyle Dealer, thanks for joining us today. After you leave, there is going to be a short survey. Please let us know what you thought about the event today, and absolutely, if there are any topics you'd like us to cover, please do let us know. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, guys.